Welcome to Six's Overdrive. Today we're going to be doing our long-term review on the Tracer 900 GT. But first, before we do any of that, I've got to take off and go pick up the XSR 900 with my shiny new gold chain, and the mapping on the engine is all done for my custom pipe. And I got the cables all checked out and they should be running a lot smoother now. But I'm excited to try this thing. I want to drive this till the end of the year. But we put 15,000 K on the Tracer 900 GT, so it's time to give you a full rundown, long-term review on what this motorbike's all about. So let's do this.
I'm feeling no control, the ways in which I end up, I don't know.
Love you, babe.
I got the saddest feeling nowadays that all my dreams are much too far away. Sometimes the night got me aching, working hours in the cold.
Welcome back. Well, we've picked up the bike, we've washed the other bike, got everything ready for this great review. You know, I put 15,000 kilometers on this, went on a good bike trip all the way through BC, ripping with a bunch of friends that had everything from a Triumph Street Triple to this. And I think we're ready to tell you guys if it's worthy to be bought or not.
We're not worthy! We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
And some of you have been waiting on this bike because it only came out in 2018, 2019 model. So what we want to do is we want to go from this thing, and I'm going to start right at the front and all the way back. We're not going to waste a whole lot of time, but I'm going to tell you all my thoughts about this bike because, yeah, it's worthy of a look for sure. So let's see what we think about it. So how about the tires? Stock tires are absolute crap. Might as well get rid of them. Mine were gone before 4,000 kilometers on the back. And then because of COVID, I couldn't quite get this one in stock, so I came back after my bike trip, made sure to put that one on right away. Once you put that on, you'll realize that your handling is a lot more stable. It's not as twitchy through the corners. Not that this thing was ever that twitchy, but it was a little bit, and especially compared to these tires, it was much better. It's much more confidence feeling. Once you get a brand new set of tires on, then you can adjust your suspension. Might as well stay here and talk about the suspension because these are adjustable forks and I was able to get them dialed in really nice. They are a little bit harsh when you've got some ugly pavements, you know, potholes and stuff like that. But most motorbike shocks are a little bit, especially when you get into the sport forks. But the adjustability in it is fine. It's perfect for a bike of this character. And I might as well talk about the back shock now. It's brilliant having that onboard adjustment where if I take my wife for a ride, which I did, I put 400 kilometers with her on the back of it, you just crank that up. I did one turn and it was very confident feeling, like very confident feeling. It handled bumps well, it stayed level, it was very nice. The headlights on this bike are pretty bright at night actually, they work very well. What happens though, the only thing I don't like about it so much is the looks of them when coming head on. Not that this is a beautiful bike anyway, but one of the lights goes out when it's when you're on your dim headlights, and when you put on the bright headlights, both lights go on. I like to have both on. I haven't had any people flashing me or telling me that my lights are on or anything like that, or being blinded or anything like that. I asked a couple buddies and it seems to be not that bad. And it makes the bike look a little bit better head on. So as many of you know, I really like bikes without windshields, and this one came with a windshield and it's adjustable. And you can do it while you're riding even, which is really good for a windshield. But let me tell you something, like over there with the XSR 900, way less wind noise and everything, more wind of course, but there's no noise when you don't have a windshield. And this one here produces some of the ugliest noise in the world. It is so loud going down the highway, it is pitch worthy. Get rid of the thing right away. It is no good for anything. This is the worst windshield ever. I put the Puig racing screen in. All it does is, if you see this here, it basically covers my adjustment and my gauges, and that's it. And my head and everything are right out in the wind. but there's still a little bit noise. This is a lot noisier than the XSR, but there's a lot of wind resistance on there too. Like this does block a lot of the wind, but I don't like that very much. I like motorbikes to have the wind coming at me, and it's a good judge for speed and stuff like that. I would put this on right away, any kind of screen that you have, or cut down your own. But the stock one, you might as well throw it away right away, or cut it shorter, or get an extension or something if you're the type of person that likes the windshields tall and blocking all the wind and having no wind noise. You're gonna need something different though. Watch the reviews, see what you can find. This bike in the looks department is hit and miss. Actually, colors make a big difference in it. When I got this one, I specifically bought this at year end, and I hardly ever do this. This is a 2019 model, and I bought it basically at the end of the year when I could have been ordering a 2020. But the colors that were coming out in 220, I didn't like as much as I like this one. This one looks very European. I really like the looks of it. And you know, my buddy has an FJ09, and we park side by side on our bike trips, and everybody's always coming to look at this bike and talking about it. And really, they don't look that much difference, but because of the colors, they look like two completely different bikes with this two-tone white with gray and then the little red accents and stuff. It looks a lot more like a BMW or a Triumph or something. Actually, my buddy has a Triumph Street Triple R, and the similarities in the styling are remarkable. It's almost like they're both made by Yamaha or Triumph. So similar in so many different ways. This dash is pretty nice, although I have to say that if you get the Tracer non-GT model and it doesn't come with this dash, you're getting a very good dash with all the same information on it. But one of the benefits, if you're a little bit older like me and you need reading glasses, this one's hard to see sometimes, especially with my visor down on my helmet. Sometimes I have to click that up just to read this. The numbers are very small in it. But a lot of functionality when you're using the spin wheel here and clicking between different things like checking your mileage, checking your temperature, it gives you a lot of information, and you can control your heated grips, which are another great thing. The heated grips work really well on this, and they have 10 levels of adjustment, and you save 3 out of the 10. So you can do 1, 5, 10, or you can do 3, 6, 8, whatever you want. Sky's the limit. 3 adjustments, and you get to pick from 10 levels, and it works really well. The heated grips are really nice, and of course they come with these bark busters, and they seem to work really nice, especially when it's hailing and raining and stuff. Keeps your hands dry and warm. No problems with your hands on this thing. Another one of the big things about this big selling feature is cruise control. Of course, you have ride-by-wire throttle, which isn't the best. It's a little bit herky-jerky. But the cruise control is a game changer. If you've never had cruise control on a motorcycle before, whew, game changer. I'm telling you right now, game changer, especially if you're like me and you live on the prairies and the roads are as straight as an arrow and you're just keeping it locked in the same place all the time. Gorgeous. All you have to do is click cancel and you can go ride at your will. You know, when you get to the mountains and the twisties, it gets really fun. You just turn off the cruise control, and away you go. And when you get back to a straight, lock it back in. Everybody's there. In BC, it saved us so many tickets. We just smile and wave at the cops on the side of the road.
Just smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave.
Now, one of the annoying things that nobody likes on this bike, doesn't matter who you talk to, is the key placement in here. And Yamaha needs to do something about that, because that key placement is absolutely hideous. When you have gloves on, you go to take your key out at the end of a ride, it's hard. You got to take your gloves off. You got to move the handlebars around. It's stupid. This is no good for anything. Reaching into this thing is a pain in the butt to get your key out, and you will grow to hate it after a while. You really will. It's a real weakness of the bike. It seems like petty, but it's not. When you have to deal with that, and that's something you have to deal with every time you touch the bike, you will really start to hate it. Fuel tank on this thing is pretty nice as well. You're talking about 17 liters, I believe it is, which is going to get you, if you really drive it like you're racing it, like you stole it, it's going to get you still over 300 kilometers. I've never got less than 300 kilometers on a tank on this thing. Now, if you baby it and you're going through somewhere in BC where the speed limits are 80 kilometers an hour, you can get up to 400 kilometers on a tank of gas. Filling and everything's very easy, centered right in the tank. Key lock on the tank, so I think it's perfect size and everything. It's not overbearing. The feeling that you get is the tank comes up a little bit. This bike feels a lot more like you're sitting in the bike than the XSR does. The XSR, you're sitting on top of the bike, less of a fuel tank. But this one, you definitely sit in the groove here with your hands up in the air, very much a sit and beg seating position. So let's get into that. The seat. The seat is very good. And I've heard reviewers say that it's not, but I honestly don't think they put on the miles that we do. Good improvement over the FJ. It feels really good right away. The fit and finish is very nice with the stitching on it and everything. It's adjustable and in a couple different levels. You can either put it up at the high level or the low level like a short guy like me uses. And the back pillion seat, my wife said, is just brilliant. She rode 400 kilometers on the one day and was quite happy with it. It worked really well. Just back to the cruise control here for a second. There's something I forgot to tell you about. And that's that the cruise control actually was faulty on me right before I changed the front tire. After I changed the tire, it was fine, but it wouldn't work for a while. And I took it in, they looked after it, it seems to be working good now, but I wanted to make sure because at the end of the fall here, that's when my warranty runs out, and I didn't want to be stuck with a faulty cruise control because these things are a fortune to replace. So let's talk about the foot pegs here. The foot pegs are in a nice position when you're riding this bike. However, you'll hear this complaint a lot, is that your heel will land on this back foot peg here. Now it doesn't seem to mind, like even with your foot back here, when you're with a pillion passenger on the back here, it doesn't seem to get in the way. Some way, the way the feet work or whatever, the feet don't get in the way. I wouldn't worry about that too much. But I've grown to kind of like it. Like I actually put my heel on here and my toes right here, and I kind of like it. Like it gives you a different, like almost like a floorboard. But if you put your toes on here, you might be bumping into this, especially if you wear a larger boot. And just something to be aware of it. Some guys really hate it, and I could see it being annoying for people. My buddy rode this bike who owns the FJ Thai, and it was driving him nuts because his heel kept bumping it back there, and he didn't like that at all. Next thing you have on the GT is this center stand. Now, this center stand is brilliant, especially when you've got a chain drive like this is. You can just put this up and you can lube your chain on a trip, which makes it awesome. The thing I don't like about it, and I hit this twice on our BC trip, I actually ground this down. This contacts before your peg feelers do. And when it contacts, it's hard because it's solid on the bike. There's no give coming up into that. I was really worried that one of the times when I went around and drug my center stand on the ground that I was going to lift a rear wheel. Never did happen, but I always got that feeling that it might, and I hit it twice and it ground it pretty good. And I would rather have the peg feeler because the pegs move. This doesn't. So I'm a little bit worried about that. We'll wait and see on the forums, I guess, to see if anybody actually wipes out because of that. The brakes on this bike, they're all you really need. You got the doubles up front and then the single in the back, and you know, most sport riders don't use the back very much, if any at all. And yeah, it works really well. The brakes have plenty of braking power for a bike of this stature and what it's used for, sport touring and everything. Even with the passenger on, you got lots of stopping power. Like these things will lock up and activate the ABS. So you really have no worries there. If you want the bike to flip over because you're braking too hard, it can do it. It's plenty of braking power, more than enough. Not as strong as Brembo's or anything like that, but still pretty good. The luggage that comes with the bike is phenomenal. It works really well. It's a little bit on the small side because you can't fit a helmet, but then again, it really makes for an athletic look on the bike. This bike looks really good with its luggage, maybe even better than when it doesn't have its luggage. And I'll show you some pictures of that while we're talking about it. But this thing is phenomenal for the luggage and really nice. When I used it in BC, it was just simply unlock it with a key, take it up to the room. I bought some inner bags for it, just because I wanted it like that. I just wanted to pull the bags out and then stick the hard bags in the corner, and everything worked just beautifully, just wonderfully. My buddy's got the back luggage that comes with the FJ or whatever that you buy extra from Shad. And the only thing I didn't like about that, I have to look into it. Maybe some of you guys can comment below for some of the other watchers and subscribers, that There's a bracket that goes on the back here, behind the seat, but I couldn't find one that was easily removable, that just clicks off. And that's what I wanted, because that thing is so big on the back end, it looks hideous. It looks like you're driving around with one of those Google cars that's mapping everything that you do. Guys, I would highly recommend this bike. After 15,000 kilometers and a full year of riding, I would highly recommend this bike. The electronics are on it are good. It's got all the features you need for a good touring bike. The chain is one thing. The FJ, my buddy had to replace his chain at 20,000 K. And I'm thinking the same thing. My chain's starting to make noises already. Tires that come with it are a little bit cheap. This key is a little bit of a bugger. And those foot pegs, depending how you look on that. But you know, I come from the XSR 900. And obviously I like the handling and power and everything, because we got the same chassis and motor there. And this motor to me is one of the best motors that money can buy. You know, some people might want more power if they're into something like a Super Duke or anything, but it runs pretty much with anybody up to 160 kilometers an hour. It just keeps going and going and going. And it's really nice. It's really smooth. It's really balanced. It's a very sporty bike. When you talk about sport tours, there's kind of comfortable and boring, and then there's the sport side of it, and that's what this bike is. It's very sporty. Not quite as sporty as a Ninja 1000, but it can do a little bit better on gravel. You don't have to take off fairings to get to your oil changes. Luggage, I would put as a tie, maybe with a little edge going to the Ninja 1000. But this bike is very versatile and very sporty. You'll love it. You'll absolutely love it. I'll recommend it 100 times, except for those niggly little glitches that we talked about a little bit before. But you're gonna get something like that on every bike. So guys, I hope you enjoyed it. You know, this channel is just me, and I get my motorbikes. I'm well experienced. I've had over 40 years of motorcycle experience. And if you like what you see, ring the bell below, subscribe, all that. And we'll see you again soon. So remember to share, like, comment, and subscribe. This is Six's Overdrive, and I'm out of here. Bye-bye.